Come fly with me, let's fly away.
The sky is the limit for aviation in Indiana. How it's landing big bucks for businesses and making flying the friendly skies easier for travelers.
Let's fly away.
Plus,
the only other underwater treadmill in Indiana is at the Colts training facility, but this one is designed for your average Joe battling back from paralysis. We'll have the story in the business of health.
And
Houston, this is Emilio 11. We are go for launch.
Ready to change history.
Spoilers to Mars.
Fly me to the moon.
Purdue, home to the cradle of astronauts, with a new pitch to be a part of a mission to Mars.
On Jupiter and Mars.
It's all next on Inside Indiana Business.
From Indiana's business news leader, this is IBJ Media's Inside Indiana Business with Gary Dick, presented by Elevate Ventures, Indiana University, and LiUNA.
Hello and welcome to Inside Indiana Business. I'm Gary Dick. This week, navigating momentum growing over Hoosier skies and on the ground at airports all over the state. Indiana aviation, in a word, is soaring. New nonstop flights, millions of dollars in terminal improvements, and record numbers of travelers as well. Our first stop, Southwest Indiana. Evansville Regional answering a clarion call from local business leaders to resume nonstop service to Chicago, while leisure travelers now have more direct flights to Florida.
I have her on the aisle seat.
All of this while the airport is undergoing construction on a new $7.5 million terminal and a new private aviation complex. From Evansville, we land in South Bend, where the airport there is also getting a multi-million-dollar makeover for a new entrance. South Bend also recently adding nonstop service to Washington, D.C., with plans in the works to add direct flights to Orlando and Fort Myers.
Roger. We'll go ahead and make a left turn, come around, and follow the man through.
Our next stop, Fort Wayne International, where the $140 million Project Gateway is nearing the finish line. It includes a complete renovation of the airport's west and east terminals. And in Northwest Indiana, Gary Chicago International Airport has landed $16 million to replace its 50-year-old control tower. City leaders also working to bring back commercial service, which has been gone since 2013. Not to be left out, Indianapolis International Airport. We're going to talk about some recognition for the airport, but also some big news in and around the airport with Mario Rodriguez, the executive director of the Indianapolis Airport Authority. As always, Mario, welcome.
Gary, it's an honor to be here with you.
Okay, lots going on at the airport. Number one, traffic. You expect this year the airport to top 10 million passengers, which would be a record.
It'll be a record-breaking number. I can almost guarantee we're going to be over 10 million this year. The numbers are trending that way. There's nothing to stop us, and passengers, although it's a little bit more crowded, are still being treated excellently.
Right. Everyone wants to know about nonstop flights. They've been
Absolutely.
Increasing over the years, certainly affected by the pandemic.
Absolutely.
But you expect to hit 50 nonstops.
We're 49 right now.
Okay.
We expect to hit 50. Stay tuned for an announcement next month sometime, and it'll be a nonstop that everybody will enjoy.
Okay, I've got to ask you, there's been a lot of speculation about getting that Europe nonstop back. How is progress going? How are negotiations talks going for that nonstop to Europe?
Our excellent team, which is the best in the industry, is doing a fantastic job. They're progressing towards that nonstop to Europe. And as I said before, stay tuned.
Okay.
Next month, everybody's going to be delighted.
Okay, we will stay tuned. I know
Very
you'll
good.
call me first, right?
I'll call you first,
Okay.
absolutely.
Hey, want to talk too about some big projects. Runway project almost complete at the airport.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of talk about a hotel and parking additions.
The parking garage, done. It's ready to go. Solar panels are being put on the roof, but people are parking on the inside. Everything's working well. The hotel, pending board approval, it will probably start next year. Okay. We'll start building it next year.
And that's a Westin brand?
That's a Westin brand, very high end. It's going to be a beautiful addition to the campus.
Okay.
And the runway, this year it will be complete. And what happens is most people don't see the magnitude of the runway. this will be an asset that will remain for the community for the next 40 to 50 years. We poured enough concrete out there to build a 2-lane road from the airport to Terre Haute, Indiana. So people don't really see it. We've been pouring concrete for the last 3 years.
A lot of accolades and recognition coming to the airport. You're marking 10 years running the airport now, and during that time, a lot of recognition. This is an award just recently awarded. J.D. Power was a very prestigious customer service award. Talk about that and the fact that I think, 12 years running now, Indy has been named the top airport in North America.
Yeah, and it all has to do with our team. Our team is the best team in the industry. They're dedicated. They want to make sure that we project that out to the community, and that we held customer service as one of our main pillars to make sure that the community understands that we really care about how they feel and what they do in the airport. But that's our 7th J.D. Power. Yeah. So I don't think any other airport in the United States has won 7 J.D. Powers.
Yeah, and I don't think a lot of people realize from an economic development standpoint how important the airport is as the front door to a city and a state.
Incredibly. It's not just the connection. The amount and the volume of money that we spend to maintain that facility and to build runways and to build hotels and to build all these wonderful things, amenities that we're building for customers, most of it stays in the state. Last year, almost 90% of every dollar spent stayed in the state. That was over $200 million, and that makes for a better state.
All right. Mario Rodriguez, congratulations on the J.D. Power Award. We're going to keep tabs, too, on the potential for this nonstop to Europe, which sounds very promising, and congratulations on 10 years at the airport as well.
Thank you, Gary.
All right. Well, aviation investment and growth not just limited to Indiana's biggest airports. In fact, there's big momentum at regional airports like Purdue University.
At 6:18 a.m., we took off over a rainy West Lafayette, hitting some light turbulence as we headed into the clouds.
Takeoff at the Purdue Airport, resuming commercial flights to Chicago just a few months ago, and also beginning construction on a new $12 million terminal named after Amelia Earhart, the first woman to fly alone across the Atlantic. Plus, big changes coming to the Palladium at the Center for Performing Arts in Carmel. Learn more about what's behind the concert hall's new name.
Here's what's making news around Indiana. Brought to you by the Indiana Association of Realtors. Indiana's 21,000 realtors. The neighbors you know, the experts you can count on.
And lots to catch up on this week with business news headlines from around the state. Mary Rachel Redmond here now to get us up to speed.
That's right, Gary. Well, Northeast Indiana, a corner of the state without a single casino. But Full House Resorts looking to change that, proposing a $500 million casino for the city of New Haven, just east of downtown Fort Wayne. The project would be built in 2 phases. Phase 1 would include the casino and a number of restaurants, while Phase 2 would add a 200-room hotel and live events center. But some New Haven residents not happy about the potential of a casino in the city of just 16,000. Inside Indiana business reporter Mark Mazurek talked to residents earlier this week.
I would say most of the people who came out did feel that they were not for the casino. However, there were certainly a number of people who spoke about the good that it could do in terms of job creation, in terms of tax benefits, and those types of things.
Full House executives estimate the casino would create close to 1,500 jobs and, if built, could generate $290 million in revenue by year 5. A big jolt coming to workers just southwest of New Haven in the town of Markle. Trailer manufacturer Novi announcing it's closing its plant there, which means 80 workers will lose their jobs. The plant set to close in the next 6 weeks. A Vigo County fertilizer operation getting a big boost to become a leader in clean energy. Wabash Valley Resources has received a $1.6 billion federal loan commitment from the U.S. Department of Energy to retrofit a former Duke Energy plant to produce anhydrous ammonia fertilizer. Wabash Valley Resources says ammonia used in Indiana comes from the Gulf Coast or internationally.
If you talk to any farmers in the corn growing, and even ethanol people, they all realize how big a deal this is. So there's a lot of other people excited about it, but I think the Indiana farmers are going to be the most excited.
The DOE says the project has the potential to be the world's first carbon-negative ammonia production facility. Construction expected to start in the next 6 months with completion in 2027. Northwest Indiana upping its game in the war against cancer. Franciscan Health Crown Point, which opened in January, broke ground this week on the Dean and Barbara White Cancer Center. The White Family Foundation donating $30 million to the project, which is expected to open in 2027. In Northwest Indiana, a new $80 million facility at Curtis Creek Dairy is almost done. The dairy is part of Fair Oaks Farms in Jasper County. The facility can convert cow manure into clean water fertilizers and other products that can be reused by the farm.
And it takes the digestate, the manure that goes through the dairy digester, and instead of going into the lagoon or onto the fields, it takes that digestate and goes into our technology. And from there, we'll produce clean, gorgeous water that we can discharge back to the farm.
Washington-based Sedgwick Technologies is behind the project. The company plans to add around 40 manufacturing jobs by the end of the year. Get used to saying Allied Solutions Center for the Performing Arts. That's the new name for Carmel's Performing Arts campus. Financial services firm Allied Solutions, which is based in Carmel, announcing a new sponsorship deal for the Arts District, which includes the Palladium Concert Hall and the neighboring James Building.
And you've got an interesting story coming up a little bit later in the show.
That's right. I don't want to give too much away. Let's just say Neil Armstrong, space, the moon, perhaps Mars.
Yep, interesting. I'll bet Purdue's involved in that. Well, when we come back,
I want a hand cycle, about 4 lanes of a hand cycle racetrack around the entire perimeter.
A race car accident paralyzed him, but now Sam Schmidt, he's using his platform to help others. His inspiring story next in the Business of Health.
Bloomington, Indiana is the home of the Hoosiers and an excellent place to host your meeting or event. Our welcoming college town atmosphere, along with an acclaimed culinary scene and fun nightlife, make Bloomington an ideal group destination. More information at visitbloomington.com.
I started a foundation with the firm belief that the end of paralysis is simply a matter of time and money.
Paralyzed IndyCar driver Sam Schmidt putting his money to help those in the same situation he's in. Schmidt, a driving force behind the creation of a new rehabilitation center in Indiana for people with paralysis. Business of Health reporter Kylie Valetti explains why it's being hailed as the best in the country.
Thanks, Gary. A well-known name in IndyCar is the visionary behind this rehabilitation center. Former IndyCar driver Sam Schmidt says had he not been paralyzed, none of this would have happened. And this center is what he was destined to do.
Sam has a huge career ahead of him.
Gonna win this one, waving the fist, Sam Schmidt.
I was an IndyCar driver, living my dream. In a second, everything changed.
A racing accident 24 years ago left Sam Schmidt a quadriplegic. Just months after his accident, he created a nonprofit which snowballed over decades into this.
It will draw people, not just from the entire U.S., but from around the world.
Sam's foundation, called Conquer Paralysis Now, invested $20 million to convert the former 5-season sports club in Carmel into a state-of-the-art rehabilitation center for people with paralysis.
We have by far the best collection of high-tech equipment, the best rehabilitation opportunities, the best people, and there is nothing like this in the entire United States right now.
The Driven NeuroRecovery Center, powered by NeuroHope, will ultimately help thousands of people recover from stroke and spinal cord and brain injuries.
It stinks, you've had a problem, you've had a traumatic injury, but how can we get past that? How can we create some goals, combine that with technology, physical activity, mental health services, and get you back on the road to recovery?
It's a battle Sam knows well, learning how to reinvent your life after paralysis.
5 months on a respirator, a life sentence in a wheelchair. At least that's what the doctors say.
Sam found a new kind of drive to beat his condition. He's now a highly successful businessman and still a big name in motorsports as co-owner of the Arrow McLaren IndyCar team. His foundation opened the first Driven Center in Las Vegas where he lives, but Indy has always been his second home. With millions of dollars in support from the IndyCar community, he had the horsepower to build an even bigger place for miracles.
This place is 5 times larger. I think we'll have 5x the miracles.
Sam says even the best private insurance covers only 6 weeks of inpatient rehab. The new center will serve clients even after insurance runs out. Indianapolis-based nonprofit NeuroHope has a 10-year track record also working with people battling paralysis. The new center will unite both teams to turbocharge their efforts. But it won't be all work and no play. The center can be an all-day hangout for clients.
The music will be pumping, cafe, social areas.
And even an adaptive sports arena.
I want a hand cycle, about 4 lanes of a hand cycle racetrack around the entire perimeter. Hopefully Indianapolis Motor Speedway themed. And then in the middle of that will be a bunch of sort of multi-purpose, right? It can be wheelchair basketball, wheelchair rugby.
And knowing Indy's need for speed, Sam will also bring his modified racing Corvette here. Driven by head and mouth movements, clients at the center will get to take it for a spin, a reminder to never lose their drive.
And just like racing, this center has been a team effort. Sam says he's grateful for the support his foundation has received from the Indianapolis racing community and beyond. Gary, back to you.
Incredible story. Thanks very much, Kylie. Well, we are heading out of this world when we come back. Purdue conveying its potential connection to a mission to Mars through a very powerful new documentary.
Time now for our Eye on Education, brought to you by PNC Bank.
Well, an iconic and unforgettable moment in world history right here. Neil Armstrong making history as the first human to step on the moon. That was back in 1969. I'm old enough to remember it very well. Purdue is known as the cradle of astronauts. It's now pushing the next phase of space exploration to Mars in a visual way. Mary Rachel Redmond has the story.
There must be some kind of way out of here.
Okay, so let's do the math. I have enough food to last for 50 days.
Remember this? Matt Damon living on Mars. That's Hollywood's version. Purdue University writing its own script for the next big adventure to outer space.
As the cradle of astronauts, we firmly believe that when we make it to Mars, a Boilermaker will be in the lead. So we decided to bring that heroic vision to life in the form of a short film.
Purdue launching Boilers to Mars, the university's first ever short feature film aimed at attracting students interested in continuing Purdue's dominance and reputation as a world leader in aviation.
We are go for launch.
Ready to change history.
Boilers to Mars.
The 10-minute film follows the academic and professional careers of 4 fictional Purdue students who ultimately become part of the first historic mission to Mars.
Starting with making it to Mars and then going backwards of what did that journey look like until essentially that first moment where that young person is interested in and applies and Googles Purdue.
For Purdue, it's all about connecting its past aviation history to the future, dating all the way back to trailblazer Amelia Earhart.
No other phase of modern progress contrives to maintain such a brimming measure of romance and beauty coupled with utility as does aviation.
To Neil Armstrong.
You're coming down the ladder now. I'm at the foot of the ladder. The limb footbeds are only depressed in the surface about 1 or 2 inches. I'm going to step off the limb now. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
The
University joined the rest of the world around TV receivers to watch the historic flight of Apollo 11, commanded by Purdue alumnus Neil Armstrong.
What else is out there in the galaxy? Only time will tell. But in the meantime, keep an eye on Purdue University to continue leading exploration in space.
Boiler up.
For Inside Indiana Business, I'm Mary Rachel Redmond.
Absolutely no wonder why they call Purdue the cradle of astronauts. Neil Armstrong wanted, get this, 27 Purdue alums to venture to go where very few of us have gone, to outer space. And that history, that heritage at Purdue continues today. Well, that's all the time we have for this edition of Inside Indiana Business. We hope you've enjoyed our show this week and our spin around the state of Indiana. We'll be back with you next week from Greater Lafayette as our Engage Indiana series rolls into West Lafayette and Lafayette, Purdue University. Go out and make it a successful week. Thank you for listening to the Inside Indiana Business Television podcast. Remember, you can get the latest business news from every corner of the state at InsideIndianaBusiness.com. I'm Gary Dick. Go out and make it a successful week.